I'm just going to probably work for the weekend.
Everybody's working for the weekend.
Maybe I should sing that at karaoke.
Everybody wants a second chance. Everybody's going off the deep end. Everybody wants a new romance. Take a look at my heart. Take a look at my heart. Is that what he says?
Better start from the you better
take a look at my heart. Bow, 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 bow. Because you tore it apart. Bow, bow,
oh no!
Bow. And
who hurt Loverboy?
Really have to fart. Bow, bow, bow. But take a look at this chart.
This is my fart chart.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 48. God damn it, we're doing a lot of these things of the 40K Badcast. My name is Demonic Dan Boyd, and I'm joined by Flesh Whip Rib Cracker.
Why do you get your actual name, but with like a boxer name before it? And I'm just like, oh, here's some names out of the demon name generator table.
Have you heard the 47 episodes before this one?
Oh, I know.
We do
I'm
name
aware.
jokes at the top.
No, we do.
Well, the reason that I'm demonic and you're, let me see here, Flesh Whip Rib Cracker is because we're in the middle of a Chaos release right now in the real world, in the real time. And I'm pretty excited about it, even though I don't play Chaos. And Campbell, you're about to play Chaos, so you probably are excited about it too.
First of all, I would have also accepted Flesh Whip McRib. Second of all,
I should have thrown the McRib Cracker. Fuck. Missed opportunity.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. I'm like an extremely late editor. Second, I actually have an Iron Warriors army. I've had it since 5th edition, and the more of the stuff I'm seeing, I'm like, I should just fucking paint it as Iron Warriors. I have a can of Lead Belcher spray right there.
Yeah.
And it would make this very fast.
Oh, it would make it really easy.
It is testament to how bright I am that it took me like how many months of Chaos releases and pictures for me to think, oh yeah, I have an army of that.
Oh man, there's a thing is too much hobby, and it's what you have already.
It's when you like open a box and forget like 3 Land Raiders in it or something like that. That has happened to me.
How many Land Raiders do you own?
4? Well, only once from Rogue Trader though.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I have 1. Guess
because they don't have a Primaris one yet.
Guess what army is for?
Oh, actually, Grey Knights.
It is for the Grey Knights. Very good.
Yeah, I got it. All right, cool.
Well, let's move on to the beginning of the show and actually do this damn thing, the Auspecs, where we talk about what's on our hobby radar. And I've got a hobby progress update for you, Campbell.
All right.
I am halfway through my base coats on the Intercessors I started like 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations. I'm very happy for you. What shade of black are you up to now?
Oh, well, I'm at the... I'm at the first touch-up stage, which is very early in on these models. I've had extremely limited hobby time the last 2 weeks. So my original thought of having an Intercessors January and February has now turned into an Intercessors January, February, March, and probably April.
Or January, February 2020.
Yeah, well, I really want to get these guys done, but I might have to stop after Adepticon, because we only have a month between the end of Adepticon and the beginning of Cinco de Necro, and I have bunch of fucking Orlocks and an Ambot to paint.
Oh, you got an Ambot too?
I did get an Ambot. Yeah, I split the Ambot box with my buddy Dylan.
Wait, I split an Ambot box with Dylan, but a different Dylan, I'm assuming.
A different Dylan, not the same Dylan.
A different Ambot and a different Dylan.
But wait, what if it is the same Dylan, and now he's got 2 Ambots and we only have 1?
Oh man, what a devious fella who couldn't have just bought a box himself.
What a crafty motherfucker. Okay, well, like I said, I haven't had a lot of hobby access or a lot of hobby time this past 2 weeks, but I'm hoping that you have.
I have. I've actually been getting quite a bit done. The great thaw has finally happened. It is no longer a frozen hellscape outside, just a regular hellscape outside here in Massachusetts. So I got ahead and sat on my porch the other day, and I built a squad of Intercessors, which was real nice and real zen.
Do you need your porch to build Intercessors?
No, but it was a nice day.
Okay. Okay.
I'm just like, I was sitting out there, I have a couch out there, I just, listening to the sound of passing cars and yelling townies, and it was wonderful.
You're a townie.
I am a townie. It's horrible.
Don't even fucking start. You're hiding your accent on this show. I know.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing. I'm not like
you get a couple beers in you, and
it's ugly.
It comes out.
Oh, I know it's ugly, and everyone at Adepticon will be fully aware of that very soon. But no, as far as townies go, I'm not even the bronze anniversary for townies, and I'm surrounded by like diamond anniversary townies in my area.
Oh, shit.
But I built this first squad of intercessors, and I will say
Great
I do highly
reference,
recommend.
By the way, great reference. I'm sorry.
I know a few things. I'm sitting out there on like a nice day building models is really therapeutic. I highly recommend it. So I built those guys. I primed them. I painted my Ignis Brethren, which is the name of the Hellblaster squad I did with they got candles and flames everywhere and like Mark III helmets, and I love how they came out.
Yeah, you did a really nice job on them. Have you put them on Twitter yet?
I haven't put them on Twitter yet. I'll put them up probably after we finish recording.
Maybe you should do that.
I will do that, especially there's like all this March for McCrag stuff going on, and I have basically 1,000 points of Ultramarines sitting on my monitor stand because I don't have a case for them yet.
Smarch for McCrag.
Smart for Smarch.
Oh,
Lousy Smarch weather. And I also did, I'm at the very end stage of painting a Primaris Ancient. Right now I'm just doing the microsol on him, and when he is done, he clocks in at a nice 69 points, and that will bring my army to 1,000.
Yeah, he's super good too, especially when you combine him with Hellblasters.
Yes, which I painted first for just such an
occasion.
You go.
That was smart. If you want to, you can also combine him with the Primaris Apothecary, or just a regular Apothecary, which I'm sure you already have one, where you can get this like unending regeneration Hellblasters. They can kill themselves, or they can fire, they can kill themselves, and they can get back up all in the same turn.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I'll just need to find an excuse to buy that model because the Primaris Apothecary model is real pretty.
Oh, it's dope. I've done one. It's oh man, don't prime it. Prime it white. Don't be a dumbass.
I plan to. I know you primed it black.
No, I primed it gray.
Oh, okay.
Which was better than black, but not white, which was dumb.
So don't be halfway there.
Don't be stupid. Prime it white.
I'm going to break out my Dragon Red primer and see what I can do.
It'd be pink.
Yeah, it'd be like if you throw an Apothecary and a Blood Angel in the washing machine at the same time and you run it on hot, you're going to end up with a pink Apothecary.
All right, so when I was in high school, I played on the football team, and my brother did too. My brother played on defense, and I played mostly on offense. And the offense jerseys were white, and the defense jerseys were red. So we would wash all of our practice gear together. But what that meant is his red jersey made my white jersey, my white pants, and his white pants all pink. So I would show up to practice in this nice, lovely shade of rose, where Sam would show up with his his red jersey on, and I got no end of shit for that, man. That was great. That was a great time in my life.
I'm sure that didn't have any lasting repercussions on how you see yourself. But all right, that's all the hobby progress from me. That's all the hobby progress from you. Let's go over the deluge of shit that has just been coming out.
No, we shouldn't. We should talk about games played first.
Oh, okay, sure.
Would you say that you played a lot of games in these last 2 weeks, or only a few?
I played 2 games. I was going to play one more, but I didn't get around to it.
I'm going to invite you to go first then, because I think I've got a couple more than you do.
Okay. I was going to get a game in with my dad pretty recently, but I had so much work shit going on that we just didn't really get to do it.
That stinks.
That bummed me out. But
I actually missed a bird watching excursion with my dad because of work recently.
It sucks that just employment is robbing us of quality time with our dads.
No, seriously, it does suck. Not even joking around. No. Work is exploitation, and I hate it, and I don't want to do it anymore. But I have to if I want to keep, buying hams, podcasting, and doing stuff like eating.
Well, this is Disappointed Sons, the sequel to Disappointed Dads. But so yeah, I did get around to playing 2 games of Necromunda with Cody, and this time he ran his Delac against my Goliaths, but this time he's gotten to build lists and figure out what really works for Delac. So they have all these poisons and all these gases and all these smoke grenades. And we played both games in my a 3x3 3D table I set up instead of just doing the Underhive setup, which I honestly prefer.
It's better.
But here's the thing. It is better, but in one of our games, he kept shooting my guys and they kept falling off ledges and landing on other ledges and bouncing off them, like Homer Simpson falling down Springfield Gorge. And that was pretty cool. So the first one was
fucking Buster Keaton falling on an awning.
Exactly. But so game one was I was trying to recover like a bunch of loot caskets that he got to place around the table, and he got to like put his guys pretty much wherever, and my gang started off pretty much wherever I wanted altogether.
The Beef Boys.
But I didn't really choose the best deployment area, I'll be honest, and I kind of got shot to pieces. When I got close enough, my Goliaths would whiff, and he would just either web gauntlet or web gun or poison dagger my guys dead almost instantly.
Yeah.
The highlights of this were the aforementioned my guys falling off ledges and one of his guys opening an ammo crate out of curiosity, which caused the ammo crate to explode, which made him fall over, which made him fall off the building. So he had a guy get blown off a building and seriously injured. And that is what Necromunda is about.
Oh, that's fantastic. A booby-trapped ammo cache explodes and knocks a guy off of a building.
And it's his own. Like, he was not in a place of danger. He was just opening it to see, like, oh, maybe I could get rerolls on my ammo checks.
Let me kick this thing open and see what's inside. Oh, it's a bomb. Cool.
Cool. I'm glad I was guarding this. I'm glad I was the lone guy guarding this. So that was not a super great game as a game, but I had a lot of very funny moments like that in it. And game two was one where we had our gang relics and we're trying to break each other's gangs. And if you like deface the other guy's gang relic, it makes him bottle out more often. But it was one of those ones where you also roll up with a random number of guys. And when I roll up with 5 really decked out Goliaths with, you know, all the best gear I can afford, and he rolls up with like his random 4 poorest, weakest, juviest Delax, it's kind of a rough time.
Yeah.
So my guys just kind of bulldozed him, and it was not really much of a game, unfortunately. It was kind of more like a street fight just down an alley because of how narrow the table ended up being where we were fighting.
Well, didn't we do one of those at the last Necro Slam Spa weekend?
Well, you and I had the standoff one where we get closer and closer and closer, then I'll shoot at once.
That is okay. I like that mission a lot. I know that it didn't work out well for you because I think it was like 4-on-2 in our game.
Yeah, it was.
But like I like that one a lot because it's super quick, and you can just sort of like play it in 20 minutes, and it's crazy bloody, and there's nowhere to run. I love that mission.
I call that mission manufacturing lasting injuries because that's how you do it. You're like, oh, this guy's gang needs to be fucked up more. I know.
But that game, that mission will like give you crazy amounts of rep if you manage to roll low during the initiative phase. If you fire second.
Yeah, no, and that mission was a lot of fun when we did it. But this did inspire Cody actually to start putting together a campaign for us to run, like him, me, and Dylan, and maybe someone else we roll them in. And if I recall, it's the hold on a second. The name he came up with this is pretty swell. It is the Necrofunda Slampaign. Which I'm extremely into.
Yowzers, that's good.
Yeah, so we'll probably be starting this up after we get back from the
hot pot of coffee. That's amazing.
Yeah, we'll start that up after Cinco de Necro.
All right, that's great, man. Okay, so I played a bunch of games.
Yeah, please fill me in.
All 40K. Well, one sort of kill team-ish game in there, but we'll get to that. I went to that tournament at the brewery that we talked about last time.
Shit, it's been that long. Okay.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks.
Time dilation's a hell of a thing in the year of our Lord 2019, I'll have you know.
It's been our regular recording schedule. It took me a while to get last episode out because of work, but it's tough sometimes, man, when I work as an audio engineer and a video editor and stuff, and like the last thing I want to do is go home and do more audio editing.
Oh, I understand that completely. I'm a graphic designer by trade. Like, this is what I do.
Sometimes it fucking sucks. Anyway, so I went to this tournament and I took what I thought was a reasonably competitive list within the constraints of the fact that I'm a bad player and I choose bad armies. So I had a battalion of Steel Legion, which was my first mistake, and a battalion of Raven Guard. And it wasn't just the Loyal 32 of the Steel Legion. There was a bunch of artillery elements. It was actually an Emperor's Wrath artillery company. So
that's cool.
Got to use some of those fun stratagems like double firing basilisks and stuff like that. And I thought it was good. It was a good time. Well, I went 0-3, and all of my opponents got max points in every game. So maybe it wasn't as competitive as I thought it was, but there is a caveat there, and we'll get to that. So my first game was against a guy by the name of Kyle. Kyle was really nice, really good dude from, I think, the Philadelphia area, and he had Dark Angels. He had Dark Angels, but he also had a Space Wolf Rune Priest. Which
is it just so they can do the stratagem where they punch the other guy and the other guy gets like super powered or whatever?
No, he didn't do that, but it was because the Dark Angels librarian has this unit gets -1 to hit power, and so do the Space Wolves. So he was out there he caused my 10-man intercessor squad to have -2 to hit all game, which was very annoying.
Dark Angels and Space Wolves, famous friends.
Yeah, the best friends.
Also, Capulets and Montagues, good pals.
Hatfields and McCoys, right? Yeah. So he had a really character heavy army. He had 1,200 points of characters. He had both Azrael and Samael, which I mean, it's the dream team, right? It's like Batman and Robin, except more like two Batmans, and
Batman and Bike Man.
And then he had 3 Talon Masters. Talon Masters are pretty fucking good. He had 3 of those. He had a whole bunch of stuff, and it was a fun game. He was a really nice opponent. It was a really good time. It was the closest game I had this tournament. I think it ending was 34-17. So maybe not that close, but it was the closest I did for the weekend or the Saturday that we played. And like I said, he was really nice. It was fun. There was a lot of action going on. My artillery didn't do dick the whole game, which is a theme that you'll notice throughout the tournament. And you know, he won, but it was a good one. It didn't make me feel bad. And then I had some beers afterwards. I forgot my wallet in my car.
Oh, geez.
And my car was in Hanover, Maryland. And his tournament was in Newark, Delaware. And so Scott, our friend Scott Horace, was nice enough to buy me beers and food during the day. And I appreciate him.
Swell dude.
Immensely. My second game was against a fellow named Paul. This game was bad, Campbell. Paul is a really nice guy. Like, I have no complaints about him as a person, but the list he took was awful. And the game we played was double awful. He had a Castellan.
Cool.
You know, the good big knight.
The good big knight, not the one I have.
Not yours, but the good one. He had Pask and 3 tank commanders, and then a bunch of conscripts. It was and it was hammer and anvil.
Oh God!
Setup, and it was on. Well, okay. I don't want to get too critical of this tournament setup because it was fun, and the guy who was running it was super nice, super helpful, and it was clearly it is a work in progress, like the terrain collection here. And it was on Nova standard tables, but it was, shall we say, abstract Nova standard tables.
Gotcha.
And what I mean by that is not a ton of line of sight blocking terrain.
I was going to say, on a scale from London GT tournament circa 2018 to Warhammer World, where does it fall in that spectrum?
It falls very close to London GT, and I don't want to be too critical because it was a fun event, and it's clearly a work in progress. I took some pictures originally thinking I'll show the internet these and we can, but I don't want to because again, it's a work in progress, and I don't want to denigrate the efforts of these guys and building a tournament scene in that area. But that being said, it wasn't a good game. He had a lot of long range, high power shooting. I had a lot of medium range shooting, and he set up on the back edge, and I set up as far forward as I could, and he just picked me off.
Yep.
And it was just me slowly picking up my models. I think I was tabled on turn 3 or 4. And it was. I mean, again, Paul was a really, really nice guy, but not a fun game.
Yeah, I get that.
Then my third game was against Robbie, and as soon as I rolled up to the table, I knew I was going to lose because, lo and behold, another Castellan.
They're popular for reasons that are not quite clear to me.
He had a Castellan and Space Wolves this time.
Okay.
Now, this game went a little better than last game. I did lose again, and he scored max points again. I think it was 34-15 this time, so it was close to my best of the day. The other one I think was like 34-8 or 9, so not good. But this one was a little closer. Robbie was again really nice guy. He had a lot of Space Wolves, a Castellan. I got the Castellan down a profile by punching it with Power Fists.
Always be punching,
because I took intercessor squads with Power Fists sergeants in this game, in this tournament, and they did work. I'll tell you. Listen, man. Intercessors with Power Fists, if you don't have them, fucking make them.
Dude, the squad I just built the other day, I used the old like Stern Guard Power Fist that's like held out to the side, like it's clutching something. It looks great, and it's going to be very useful.
You sent me all the Power Fists, or at least all but one of the Power Fists I'm using in my intercessor squads.
Because I have like 20 years of bits boxes of plastic Power Fists that have been trashed for so long.
Thanks again for that.
You're welcome.
But yeah, it was a good game. It was a lot more fun than the previous game. Cool. My captain killed Logan Grimnar in combat.
Nice.
Which was fun. Space Wolves are fucking rough, dude. They can heroically intervene 6 inches, which is a fucking problem.
Yeah, I think that's
I had to play around that all game.
That's the Black Templar Warlord trait.
Oh no, poor BTs. Yeah, it was tough though. The Castellan just picked off all my shit, and he had a bunch of like his Space Wolves didn't do all that much until the Wolfen got out of their transport, and then they just just fucked everything up.
Yeah, they'll eat units.
One thing I noticed a lot of in this tournament is I went up against Wolfen with Storm Shields and Deathwing Knights again with Storm Shields. So just 3-up saves everywhere.
Yeah,
3-up invulnerable saves. It is. And I've said it before in this podcast, and I'm going to say it again. I think there are too many 3-up invulnerable saves in the game. I think that 3-up invulnerable saves hurt the game. I think they make it less competitive and less fun. And I would like to see in the future fewer of those, though I don't think that's going to happen. I might be the only person on the planet complaining about these.
I mean, I remember I had people in my gaming group complaining about that when they first rolled out 3-up invulnerable save Storm Shields in, I think, 5th edition.
Well, I remember specifically probably around 4th or 5th edition, like somebody did like a homebrew chapter. Like it was probably, some like 15-year-old somewhere, like who's like really bored or something and made his homebrew chapter and made his homebrew like chapter master had a 3-up invulnerable save, and everybody was like, okay, can you believe this motherfucker?
Yeah.
Can you believe this guy over here? It's like, nah, dude, he was just ahead of the times, man. He was a visionary. So yeah, there was a point in the first game where these Deathwing Terminators came down and they just like tanked an entire army's worth of shooting for a turn. And I was like, oh, fun.
Yeah.
This is cool. But I have some takeaways. 100%. I was talking to my friend Patrick before the games. I was DMing with him, and I told him that this army is going to get rocked by a Castellan if I end up playing a Castellan.
You were
I was 100% correct
twice
on that. And I have the data to back it up now. Intercessor Power Fists are money, and I can't wait to double battalion with all Primaris Marines, because the battalion of Steel Legion that I took, even with the artillery, even with the buffed artillery, it just didn't do that much. It's just not that powerful.
That's kind of surprising to me. I have this built-in fear of guard artillery since I first started playing the game, but it's a very different world now.
Yeah. So looking forward to moving on with more double battalion Primaris. But it was a good time. I did go 0-3. I like to say I had 1.5 good games out of this one. The first game was good. The second game was bad. And the third game was kind of good. There were some fun moments in there. But as soon as I got to the table, I knew that I was in for it. So I just tried to make it as fun as possible for myself.
No, I get you.
But it was a good time. I would go back. Well, I don't know. I would go play like casual games there. I don't know if I'd do another 3-round tournament there, because it's concrete floors. Ooh. And by the end of the day, man, my fucking ankles and knees, I was just like, oh.
Yep. We're going to get a lot of that at Adepticon, though.
Yeah. Looking forward to that, right? Yeah. I wasn't wearing, I've got my fucking good shoes on, my hiking shoes on now. I'm bringing those to Adepticon. I'm not fucking around in Vans like I was on this weekend.
Nope.
All right. So then the most recent game I played was this week. I was in New York City for work. I managed to make a trip out to Jersey City to play our friend Rob Jones, the Chirurgeon, in a Astratus campaign game.
Righteous.
Yeah, it was a kill team game where it was like a cross between kill team in 2019 versus Kill Team in like 2008. So I had two squads.
Oh, okay.
Everybody was acting individually, so it was like a Kill Team game from 10 years ago showed up, like a list showed up for a Kill Team game in 2019.
So like a big Kill Team game, yeah.
Yeah, and it was this sort of like prison complex that I was raiding. That was sort of labyrinthine. He'd had all these Death Ray Designs MDF Zone Mortalis pieces.
Yeah, I know those.
And so he had closed off this nice thing where there were two prison cells.
Okay.
In one of them, there was a prisoner, a high-value prisoner that I was rescuing. In the other was a Chaos Spawn. And it was guarded by a squad of Chaos Marines, some Cultist helpers, and a Hellbrute.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and the Hellbrute turned out to be a fucking problem.
You don't
because oh, man. Primaris Space Marines don't pack a lot of more than strength 4.
You didn't have your single underslung grenade launcher to take care of that Hellbrute?
I did. I also had a Power Fist on one of my Intercessor Sergeants. So I don't think you could take that in Kill Team. Rob was like, yeah, bring it. It's going to help.
Yeah, you're not playing Arena.
Yeah, this game was tons of fun. And I started off in a corner, and I sort of started bringing my guys in both directions, trying to get to the two cells. The closest cell, I was like, the Spawn is definitely in there. It's fucking, and Rob was like, oh, I don't know. Is it? So I went in there, and guess what, Campbell? The Spawn was fucking in there.
Shucks.
And the Spawn came out, and Spawns in Kill Team are kind of a fucking wrecking ball.
I believe it.
But Rob rolled the 2 turns that the Spawn was alive for combat. Mm-hmm. He rolled a 2 and a 1 for its number of attacks. So it just didn't get to do much.
I'm so glad Rob could be Rob in your game as well.
But the good news for Rob is his Hellbrute fucking cleaned house. It killed the entire squad of Reavers. Because I have a squad of Reavers and a squad of Intercessors, and then the veteran sergeant with the power sword. It killed the entire squad of Reavers basically on its own, and then took out a couple of Intercessors too before I went to the second cell and freed Inquisitor Rothko, who thankfully had Smite.
Nice.
And I was able to get in there. I had taken down the Hellbrute, I think, to 6 wounds before Inquisitor Rothko showed up, and then he took care of the rest of it in 2 turns on the psychic phase. And so I rescued the Inquisitor. He's an Ordo Malleus Inquisitor who is impressed with my character, Shadow Captain Lanius, his ability to resist the temptations of chaos and destroy the bone puzzle cube at from last round. And so now I get to use him for free in games, but he can be captured by enemies.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to bring him forth in the Astratus campaign games in the future. But it was a great time. Rob is such a cool guy, and it was really, really great to go to his house and drink a couple of beers and a couple of glasses of scotch and hang out. It was nice. It was really nice.
It sounds like a pretty ideal hang, not going to lie.
That's games played. That's hobby progress. Let's get on to new stuff. And surprise, surprise, we got shit to talk about. Sometimes there are shows where we go through new stuff and it's just like, oh, no 40K stuff came out this time.
Yeah, but this week we got it. We got Munchkin Age of Sigmar.
We got 40K Munchkin too, right?
We do have. That's been out for a bit. Munchkin Age of Sigmar. That's the new. That's the new hottest.
I've never played Munchkin.
I've played it on and off since it first came out, and you know what? A lot of people shit on it. I think it's fine. It's fun.
Okay, I don't know anything about it. Our Discord, it got announced, and everybody's like, "Oh, these motherfuckers!" Blah. Which is what they do with the Funko Pops. I don't really understand the problem with either Munchkins or Funko Pops. Though I'm sure somebody on the internet would love to tell me about it.
They are things that a lot of pop culture properties get kind of plastered onto, whether they fit there or not. And you know what? If you like it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. It doesn't hurt nobody.
All right, well, let's start with some new Khorne models, some new Khorne demons, Skulltaker, Karanak or Karanak, and some new Fleshhounds are in. Yeah. And those, of course, can be used in AOS and 40K.
Yeah, the Khorne dogs were from that Wrath and Rapture box that came out a little while ago. Now they're separate. And fucking Bloodman, Skulltaker, Cape Skull guy, he has the most skulls per square inch of any Warhammer model or something silly like that.
Very important news.
It's very important.
They highlighted it on Community, which I thought was a nice, we know how ridiculous we are.
We know we're making 3-dimensional heavy metal album covers.
Then they did a Khorne Tactica on Community 2, which I thought was fun. You know, they were like, hey, it's Khorne, you just charge them here. Just charge them and then charge them some more and then fight twice. And I liked some of the stuff that they could do. It's pretty command point heavy, but I got to imagine if you're doing like Khorne Demons and then some Chaos Space Marines, you could probably fit a double battalion pretty easily.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. So after that, the Gamma trade show in I think Las Vegas was around, and we talked about Munchkin, but they also introduced something they teased before called Warcry.
Yeah, Muscle Bunch versus Muscle Bunch.
Well, okay, this is potentially compelling to me.
Really?
Yes. So Shadespire is cool because it's like a good game, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it doesn't really scratch the itch of a skirmish game.
Yeah, it doesn't have the narrative hook. It's a bit closer to a board game.
Kill Team is in the similar way where I get the attraction of Kill Team, but I don't necessarily enjoy playing Kill Team that much. And where Necromunda comes in, Necromunda is just like a bunch of fucking jabronis killing other idiots in the Underhive. Like it's and everybody's leveling up and moving forward, and you're buying your own equipment. Warcry, I don't know anything about Warcry, but it looks like it could be similar to Necromunda, like almost like a Mordheim-esque situation. Now, again, I don't know at all, but if it has like a robust campaign system and it's not just like an arena-based thing like Shadespire or Kill Team, because that's what Kill Team is moving towards. They released the arena set for Kill Team, and I know at Nova, like all the Kill Team stuff, at least the tournament stuff, is going to be all in the arena situation. So if it's something that has a more narrative hook to it, I think Warcry is very compelling, because I love the idea of like grabbing a band of chaos cultists or whatever and like having them be similar to Necromunda in that they're like, the Necromunda gangs are use some of the same weapons, but they have different profiles. They have different specializations. Like, I like that idea a lot.
Yeah. No, I get that. And because they're showing like there's a bunch of different icons they were showing, and you can kind of draw the lines between some of the icons and some of the different kinds of miniatures they showed in that little trailer. So like there's some that look kind of more like demons, or some that look kind of more like gladiators, and so on. So
there was a muscle bunch that I think you would enjoy very much.
Yeah, well, they're all muscle bunches. That's the thing. It's varieties of muscle bunch. There's so many flavors of muscle bunch.
Yeah. So that looks very compelling. I'm excited to learn more about it, and maybe it's small enough that I can add it to my specialist game queue, but we'll see. I'd have to look at the rules and stuff before that. Also at the Gamma Trade Show, the Chaos Ogryn and Trader Commissar for Blackstone Fortress were released.
Yeah.
And Blackstone continues to be the coolest game that I've never played.
Same. I own it. I built 3 models, went, that's cool, and put it back on the shelf. I wanted to paint it for Adepticon, but I just didn't get around to it. But
it's a lot of models, dude. Craig, our friend Craig Sniffen, has valiantly painted his, I think, completely at this point for Adepticon, for the Blackstone. We're going to play at Adepticon, and I am going to buy him so many fucking beers.
Same. I'm so glad he could shoulder that burden for me.
Yeah, he is a true champion, and I just want all of our listeners to know Craig Sniffen was on the show before. He was at the Nova pre-show in 2018, and he is a champion of humanity and should be lauded as such.
A good old ham hero.
Okay. But also,
those new models are dope. The Commissar is okay. He's got a very flat second edition pose, but his the facial scarring on him is crazy cool.
I think he's supposed to mimic a certain Commissar model with a power fist who is reading out of his little primer and standing on something like a helmet or something.
That model is a lot more 3-dimensional than this guy is. Like, he looks kind of flat. And I'm not crazy about him, but the Chaos Ogryn is so fucking cool.
The Chaos Ogryn is good. He's got mutations and stuff.
Yeah, tusks and a tentacle and stuff.
It's money.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great.
Excited to actually play some Blackstone. I don't know if we're going to be able to use those guys, but still, it's really cool. Kill Team Elites was announced here, and this one is just like blah, blah, blah. Oh, look, Custodes, because Custodes need to be in everything. I
mean, I could kind of argue that Custodes belong more in this sort of game than in big open warfare anyway.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But, whatever. I just feel like the more of these expansions you put out, it's like, next up, Kill Team Vehicles.
Yeah, Kill Team Lords of War. And then you can finally get your Knights in there.
Yeah. Finally. But, all right, cool.
I mean, I don't. This is Kill Team. Both of us are sort of blah on Kill Team, so you know, whatever. I'm not gonna care. I suppose. Sorry, guys. Okay, and then the Halfling Blood Bowl team, the Greenfield Grasshuggers, I think they're called.
They are great models.
They're
and that
fantastic models. The trailer is amazing with the Figaro aria from the Barber of Seville behind it. like it's really, really good. And the Halflings are a super fun team in Blood Bowl. They are objectively the worst team in Blood Bowl. And well, that's debatable, but let's not get into it because fucking who cares? It's a great little team with great little models. Halflings can be a ton of fun, but I have a gripe.
About what's your gripe?
Who's asking for the Halfling team?
I have no idea.
When there are teams like Amazons and Norse and Lizardmen and High Elves that don't have new models yet, like who's like, you know what we need? We need to make the fucking Halfling team.
I mean, I'll bounce back to like a conversation we've had before over like with like Severina Rain, like who is asking for this model?
That's a great point. Yeah,
but you know what? It's a dope model, and that's the merit it stands on. So
no, you've got a great point. You know, maybe I'm gaining a little bit of perspective on my earlier comments regarding the Severina Rain model. It seems like to me like the Halfling team is a nice to have. You know,
I get that.
Not a must have, but a nice to have. Yeah. That being said, they are great models. The trailer is hilarious. The Forge World paint jobs that they had on them were really excellent.
Good. They're really good.
And but again, this is the kind of team that you don't see when you go to Blood Bowl tournaments. I mean, because nobody plays Halflings.
I'm guessing this is also the team that you don't buy as your first team. Like you have your serious team, and this is the one you buy for fun. And I think that's kind of what they're going for. Yeah, and they're figuring with figures this whimsical and this fun, like the guy with a squirrel in his head throwing an acorn, that guy rules. Like they could probably even draw in some people who might not really be that into Blood Bowl, but who would like to paint those models anyway.
Oh man, speaking of squirrels, quick digression.
Are we ready to go on another Divergent thing? Because
yeah, no, it's a problem. I like retweeted something that Jordan Raskopoulos from Axis of Awesome. I'm screwing her name up big time here, but she said something about squirrels and how Americans pronounce them weird, pronounce the word squirrel weird.
Yeah.
And then I like retweeted and responded to that, and my Twitter mentions blew up for an entire week, and it was awful. And I'm never retweeting anything she says ever again because she's way too popular for a dumbass like me.
Yeah, that's kind of the inverse of what happened when I called Notch a buster.
Yeah, you were right about that though.
Yeah, I was.
Anyways, it's weird when non-American people say squirrel. Like they're probably being like, "Oh, you motherfucker, you don't know how to say squirrel." It's like,
yeah, squirrel girl doesn't rhyme outside of America.
We can all have opinions about the word squirrel. You don't have to share them with me, listeners. Anyways, let's keep moving on. Cal Jericho and Scabs are coming out for Necro. Cool models, great paint jobs. I haven't read these books. I'm not emotionally attached to these guys, but I'm always for more bounty hunter-esque models in Necromunda.
Same.
Okay, then we come to the model I'm most excited about in this batch, the Lord Discordant from Chaos Space Marines. He's a Chaos Lord with a giant chain glaive riding a huge mechanical demon spider. And
yeah, he is.
What the fuck is cooler than that?
It feels very much like the kind of fantasy aesthetic is coming into 40K with Chaos Space Marines, which I'm frankly very down with. Like, this feels like a very fantasy unit. You know, like big monster, big rider, like that whole thing. Like, that doesn't really make sense for sci-fi setting, but for demon engines, it makes a lot of sense.
No, I think you're 100% right. In the AOS models that are coming out, like the Star Drake and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, those things look fantastic. I'm super okay with that. We said it last show, man. I love that they're leaning into the demon engine aspect
completely
of Chaos Space Marines. And this guy, like in particular, buffs demon engines around, gives them a +1 to hit within 6 inches, and debuffs enemy vehicles within 6 inches, giving them a -1 to hit. So you combine him with a couple of those venom crawlers or a couple of defilers.
It's gonna get ugly.
It's gonna get real rad.
It's a very cool take. Yeah, it's a very cool take on a tech marine.
Yes, an extremely cool model. And, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I know this Primaris Tech Marine's going to fucking rule. I know when it comes out.
I think this is a model where also I was looking at it. I'm like, you know what? Iron Warriors. This will actually, he'll be right at home. He'll be right at home. I'll paint the Carapace the Bug all in caution stripes. It'll be awesome.
You got to make your Iron Warriors. Yeah, I was really, really excited about this guy. My comment here is, where the fuck did this guy come from?
From hell. And
Apparently he was on some of the art, and people had noticed him way in the background, his silhouette.
As they do.
So congratulations for your sharp eyes, guys. But also released are the new Chaos Space Marine box. And this is a big fucking finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
From what we're seeing, I'm not seeing really any new options. I know we've seen that rotor cannon guy. He might be from a Havoc's box. But you know what? They look exactly how they should look.
We've seen at least 2 heavy weapons and at least 2 special weapons. And then multiple armaments for the champion there. It's a really good box.
I'm also I'm really happy about this because it's very rare for GW to release a kit in this day and age that doesn't involve some new gimmick to it. Plague Marines now have 35 different weapons that are all in the box. You can't just have dudes with bolters and chainswords anymore. And this kind of seems like it's just dudes with bolters and chainswords again with just really lovely models. I love line infantry. I am the guy excited by rank upon rank.
No, you should be excited about that because that's what makes up the majority of every army.
Yeah, that's the story I'm most interested in.
And these
models look great.
Oh, they look so good.
Yeah, they look. The ones from fucking Stormsphere are the exact same aesthetic. They're probably even using a lot of the same computer assets. But
they're beefier than old Chaos Marines or old Space Marines
because they're not all squatting. My favorite model in this box, though, is the guy who's holding the belt feed of his bolter, Rambo. That guy's awesome.
Oh God! If you guys want to go check out what's his name, Duncan's Warhammer TV Duncan's Twitter. He's got a picture of him, the bare plastic unpainted, and it's such a cool pose. In addition to that, the Noctilith, what do you call it? Noctilith Crown. There we go. It's terrain, so nobody's going to use it, but it might make something look cooler.
I'm so glad Chaos finally has their own Fargate.
Nice. Okay. Then we got pictures of the new Terminator sprue.
Yeah,
which I don't think has been officially announced, but we've seen pictures of them.
I've seen a lot of pictures of them.
Yeah.
You know what?
Oh my God.
The old Chaos Terminator kit, I think, is actually really dope. The only change I'm really seeing here is I think
they're
a little
bigger.
sharp. They're probably a little bigger. They're a little sharper. There's a little more variety in some parts. They don't have the dumb, weird pouches that the old Chaos Terminators had. I never really understood what those were. They had a little bag hanging from spikes, and they don't have those anymore. But these guys look like, again, another nice update on that aesthetic that is more in line with the new Chaos Marines. Mm-hmm. And I think they look awesome.
Yes.
I'm very happy to see them.
Yes. I've said it last week, say it again. I want Chaos to be good. I want them to have good models. They're the bad guys, the main bad guys in the setting. So very, very happy about them. They look bulkier. They look beefier. They have a lot of detail on them. Very excited to see what people do with those. In addition to that, we've seen pictures of the new Dark Apostle as early as today when we're recording. And it's I think 21st of March when we're recording. Mm-hmm. This guy looks great. I love how the book he's holding is both on fire and bleeding at the same time. It's very strong look, but he's got friends this time. He's got a couple of cultists there to hold his book and hold his sensor
his
of
weird gyroscope of doom.
Yeah, and I guess they help him say his prayers or whatever during the game.
They help him apostle darkly, I'm sure. My notes for this guy are Darth Maul Devilman, cool. Servants, cool as hell.
Yeah. There's a guy with a cage stapled to his face is one of the two helpers. Yeah, very, very cool. Again, another great character model coming out of the Chaos range. They also previewed some of the rules, which I speed read before taping here, so I don't really retain too much of it. And then we're going to get 2 new books coming out. Vigilus Ablaze, which is the second Vigilus book, or what you've been calling it.
Yeah, Vigilus 2, Blaze it.
Yeah, I've been calling it Vigilus 2. This time it's on fire, and I'm excited to see. I'm going to buy it because I have the first Vigilus book, so I'm excited to see what comes out in that. And then they're updating the Chaos Space Marine Codex to add all of the data sheets from Shadow Spear and add some of the changes in there with updated points values, which I think is a cool thing for them to do.
I think so too, and I like that it's demarcated on the cover with a little 2.
Yep.
They haven't done this since like 3rd edition.
Yeah,
which is really interesting.
I imagine that they're going to do something very similar for Space Marines coming.
I guarantee
soon.
it. In a few months, we're probably going to see the options from Storm Spear expanded a little bit with multi-part kits, and then we'll get the same thing for Space Marines version 2, which is really cool because getting mid-edition changes to armies that are maybe having some trouble is really nice. No, I'm down for it.
Speaking of which, they are changing a little bit of the Legion traits that you can get with Chaos Space Marines. Well, not really changing the traits, but just adding things on. Each faction can take a specialist detachment that grants you abilities and combos for other units. But what's important here, Night Lords are still ass, as they should be. And it looks like the new good Chaos Army is going to be Red Corsairs, of all things. Because their ability to generate ridiculous amounts of command points at the beginning of the game.
We'll see how things pan out when the whole codex is out there, but from what I've seen so far, I'm looking at it's like, oh, these guys can reroll 1 charge a turn or something stupid like that, and these guys can generate command points times 5 or whatever.
Right, yeah. But, no, I think it's important that Night Lords still suck.
No,
I'm just gonna put it out there. I think it's very important and very fluffy that Night Lords are a bad army that nobody should take.
No, it's canon that they're terrible. The Night Lords books are 3 of the best Black Library books ever written, and they are largely just them figuring out how to run away and not get totally killed until the 3rd book when they finally fight and mostly get totally killed.
I have read those books, and they're par for the course for Night Lords. They're just not that good.
No, but they're great books.
Gang. All right, so that's another large and extra fucking long Auspec segment, but we're going to move on to We Make the Call, where you guessed it, We Make the Call. We got an email, Campbell, from Andrew Haas.
All right.
And he writes in and says, what do you do when your army is no longer competitive? How long do you keep hanging on to an army once it's in the competitive dog house? That's the same question, just in different wording. Do you sell it, give it away, hang on to it in the hope it comes around again? It sounds like both of you have armies that are not sitting anywhere near the top of the meta right now. Dan's Grey Knights and Campbell's Black Templars come to mind. How do you feel about those? Campbell, how do you feel about those?
The difference between your Grey Knights and my Black Templars is I was working on my Black Templars as of 2 months ago.
Yeah, I finished my Grey Knights in 2007.
Yeah, but I have a few armies like the aforementioned. What is it? What do you got?
No, it's I was actually going to bring that up too. It's like you've been working on your Black Templar recently, and I finished this army that sucks now fucking 12 years ago.
Oh yeah, no, I doubled down on my bad decisions. When I started painting my Black Templars in 7th edition, Brad from my old gaming group was like, "Why are you painting Black Templars?" And I was like, "Because I
fuck you, Brad. Fuck you, Brad. Doing what?"
I was like, I bet they're going to be good in the next edition because I bet Close Combat's going to be really good. And it is when you're not Space Marines or Chainswords. So to actually answer this question, what do you do? It's a matter of where you take them as well as how you use them. Because I've been playing bad armies in every edition of the game since I started playing the game. I played Orcs a lot in 6th and 7th edition.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're really good now, and I've only played them once in this edition. Whoops. So my strategy is to not play armies once they're good. It's to only play them when they're bad. It's kind of it's outside of situations where it's really just they're so bad it's not fun to play. You just kind of have to tailor them to where you're going. Because I would say I'm not bringing my Black Templars to any events anymore, but I'm bringing them to Adepticon. So, I'm full of shit. So if you are a more competitive minded player, which, maybe it sounds like you are since you're kind of asking this sort of question, it would just be a case of all right, break them out for when you have a casual game or when you are just playing with a friend on a weeknight or maybe even a random pickup game at a store. Not for when you're going to tournaments. It's a matter of when you use them. I wouldn't get rid of an army just because it wasn't very good in an edition because the pendulum can swing so severely. You played Grey Knights in 4th edition, actually, before they got really good. Yep. And now that you're back in the game, they're really bad. Yep. So, it's not worth it to chase the meta, in my opinion.
No, I'm 100% with you. I we talked about this. We had a whole segment on when you should sell an army, and my answer to that was never. I always like to hold on to projects that I've put a ton of work into, so I'm never gonna sell my Grey Knights. Yeah. They are just they're not gonna collect dust because they're in a case. Fuckers.
Smart.
Yeah, but they're not. I don't plan on bringing them out anytime soon. But again, that's a historical project for me. Like that's not anything current. That's not anything that I'm really interested in playing in right now. I think though, if you are bored with an army, and this is what I did with my Steel Legion. Now, of course, this was coming out after 7th, which my Steel Legion were miserable in. Mm-hmm. I started a new army. I started my Primaris Raven Guard army, and I think that if you're bored with an army, if you don't like something, start a new army. And with a lot of these armies, especially Imperium armies, if you want to get a lot of mileage out of your older armies that you don't like that much anymore, just build some fucking knights.
Yeah.
Get a couple of knights, and then you can be like, oh, I've got Space Wolves and knights, or I've got, Mordians and knights, and like then you can turn any potentially bad army list into an extremely good army list because the knights will do all the fucking heavy lifting for you. So Andrew, I think that the most important thing is find something that excites you about the hobby and go in that direction, whether it's a new army or a new paint scheme or something. But then like practically, if you're a competitive player, if you really want to get back into the meta, then just get some fucking knights, get a Castellan, get a couple of Armigers and fucking go to town.
So I would say I have 2 addendums to add on here.
Oh, God.
One, why do you think all my Imperial armies have the same basing?
Yeah,
they all have the same basing. So
that's what I do too.
Yeah, I have 1,000 points of Ultramarines, and maybe that's not enough to bring to like a big game, but that's when I can pair them up with Knights or with Black Templars for some reason, or with Guard or whatever. And my second addendum is I have the inverse problem right now, where I play mostly pretty friendly games with not very competitive players, so my Knights have nothing to do.
Yeah,
so
that's
they're just sitting in the case right now.
Except you're bringing them to Nova, and you got to win all your fucking games to carry us to victory. All right, let's move on to our first segment of the show, our first independent segment of the show, and this one is called "Where's the Love?" It's another episode of Where's the Love. So we're in the middle of a Chaos Space Marine release, so we're going to talk about Chaos Space Marines and where's the love there. And again, this is a segment where we talk about units where they just don't have enough oomph behind them, whether it be models, whether it be rules, whether it be backstory. And we're each going to highlight 3. And we're and if you have thoughts on this, please write into us, contact@40kbackcast.com. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah,
but we're talking specifically about Chaos Space Marine units this time around. So Campbell, I invite you, as last time, to go first.
All right, I'm going to start from the top down here and go with one of the mainstays of Chaos Army is Demon Princes.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Yeah, I don't actually know how good they are in the game.
Yeah, super good.
All right, I assume they work, so they're usually good. But
you're going to have to fucking explain this one to me, because this...
All right, because where you were saying they might not have enough oomph narratively or rules-wise, I'm thinking purely model-wise, because I think the model for these guys looks awful.
The plastic kit? The plastic Demon Prince kit?
I do not like the plastic Demon Prince kit. The plastic one has like this really goofy squat pose, really short legs, big awkward gorilla arms, really silly faces, like incredibly silly looking faces. And he looks more appropriate for Age of Sigmar than he does for Warhammer Fantasy or 40K, which is weird because it came out like 10 years ago. But it's not just because I don't like how like weirdly like wide he is, but because the metal one was so much cooler. The old metal one from 3rd Ed or so just looked a lot more sinister and had like a much more frightening face. And he still had like the big gauntlet and sword, but he looked more like an actual Chaos Marine who had ascended to demonhood, not just like a fleshy action figure that you stuck some Space Marine armor plates on. Okay. I will also put in the little side note here that the Nurgle one is awesome. It's an incredible model.
He's like a fat version of the other one.
Yeah, with big gross jowls and everything. Like the Nurgle Demon Prince is gross and perfect for Nurgle and has aged wonderfully. Like he looks as on brand for the 3rd and 4th Ed Nurgle stuff as he does for the 8th Ed Nurgle stuff. That model rules. The old metal one rules. But the plastic one, man, I do not care for it. And
so you're coming at this purely from the model standpoint.
On this one, purely aesthetically.
Okay, because like they're good. They're characters. I think they have 8 wounds. They buff stuff around them. They are psychers for the most part. They're like strong and tough and can fuck shit up in combat. Like Demon Princes are money on the table.
Yeah.
But you make a good point, because I know a lot of Chaos players. I never see that plastic kit. I see people do stand-ins a lot. One of people's favorite is the Mortark or whatever from the AOS Undead range. That one does a lot of work. Like I guess you're right. Nobody uses that plastic kit, do they?
Yeah, the last time I saw one was at that Philly Apocalypse game where there was that weird like tetrad thing, and he had some Demon Princes around that.
Don't even remind me of that.
Oh,
bullshit.
I know. It was a dark time. 7th edition, perfect game. But yeah, like there's a reason I didn't take this Mailed Iron Warriors army. Even like I had plans. I was like, oh, I'll just take it and use the Defiler, cool face mask bit from that to make it look cooler, but I just never did because I don't care for the model.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. That's really interesting. I would not in 100 years picked Demon Princess for this, so that's cool.
That's because you actually played this game.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get into it real quick with Chosen, my first unit. Chosen, which don't necessarily have models because they're like veteran versions of the Chaos Space Marines. They are in a rough place right now because they come in with 1 wound to pop. They are expensive. They get like a lot of special or heavy weapons or something, but they just don't have the oomph that a veteran Chaos Space Marine should have. Like Chaos Space Marines, a lot of them are from the Heresy. They've been in the universe for 10,000 plus years. They
are veterans of the Long War. They have the rule and everything.
Right. And like, I think that in the rules should reflect like ultra deadly warriors that can like pop up and really fuck shit up. But on the tabletop terms, they're just sort of like expensive 1 wound Marines that die super easy and don't do a whole lot.
They suffer the exact same problems that Vanguard veterans do, which is that power armored Space Marine melee guys just don't tend to hit that hard or live that long.
Yeah, I would say that both Stern Guard and Vanguard veterans and Space Marines suffer from the same thing. But I want to see like 10,000-year-old Space Marines who've been murdering demons and other Space Marines for their entire existences, like reflect on the table how good they are at battle.
I feel like that can kind of end up overlapping with Possessed a bit. And with Terminators a bit.
Possessed are like your close combat wrecking ball, right? Your Terminators are like your all-purpose wrecking ball, but your Chosen are like, oh, you want fucking 5 plasma guns in a unit? Well, this is the unit that can take it. It's your long-range scalpel, if you will.
It'd be cool if you kind of mix the roles of like Possessed and Thousand Suns for them and gave them some sort of shooting ability or something. I don't know. Just I don't want to start spitballing too hard.
I think I'm onto what you're saying, was that there needs to be something.
Yeah.
There needs to be something that sets them apart from regular Chaos Space Marines other than that they can just take more plasma guns.
Right.
Okay. Well, what do you got?
I've got Chaos Cultists. Because...
What?
All right. Hold on. The models that do exist for them, which are just the single option, single pose guys from Dark Vengeance that got reboxed and everything, are dope models, but you can't get all of them anymore. Like you can't get that cool Kalmasar anymore, or like the guy with the sergeant with the axe and all that stuff anymore. And they have no options whatsoever. Like it's just you build them how they are and that's it. And I think Cultists should be like one of the most variety based units in the game, because they are not just like a armored military unit. They are a rabble, and they should have some more rules that reflect that I think were better reflected back in like the old Lost and the Damned days. And also back in the Lost and the Damned days, you didn't just have the cultists in there, but you also had like mutants in there. And I think it'd be cool as hell if like cultist leaders were not just, a guy with +1 leadership and +1 attack, but like some kind of mutated Hulk that was kind of almost like an Orc Nob leading a mob of these cultists. And I know they are good. I know they have been good for all of 8th edition with like Tide of Traitors and stuff like that.
Well, they're going to be less good coming up soon because they're going to lose their Legion abilities, which they've had up until I think like this next next 2 weeks when like Vigilus Blaze It comes out.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm fine with that. Like, they're cultists. They're not Space Marines. They shouldn't necessarily benefit from the Space Marine, Chaos Space Marine rules and all that stuff. And I want them to be cheap enough that they're, that the fact that they're bad is worthwhile. But I want them to be a bit more diverse in their modeling and in their actual abilities. And yeah, you can do some great kit bashes with Caudor, with Genestealer Cult, and so on. But I want like stock Chaos Cultists. I want there to actually be like a pretty easy to get kit that's not just the same 5 guys from the easy to build kit or whatever. So I think they could use a little bit of a rules rewrite, and I would love some more diversity in the model range for them.
All right. Well, thank you for convincing me there, because I was skeptical at the beginning.
You've been skeptical of me 2 times out of 3. Let's see
you
you
better like toss up a fucking beach ball for this next one. But let me get to my second here. Warp Talons. I love the idea of Warp Talons, and this is probably because I'm a fucking Raven Guard player who loves Lightning Claws. But like, I love the models. I think the idea of Chaos Raptors that have been merged with demons and have jump packs, like, I love the idea of it, but they are absolute fucking garbage on the table. They are extremely expensive. They don't do that much, and they are 1 wound power armor guys. I think they do have an invulnerable. I think they come with a 5-up invulnerable.
5-up demon save,
that's just not that much. It does not outweigh the fact that they're still 1 wound models that are prohibitively expensive for what they do.
Yeah, and they kind of always have been.
Right. I mean, they should be like the hard-hitting, show-up, lightning-fast assault guys that can like cause a lot of problems and then fade away, right?
Yeah.
Like, they should be able to teleport around the battlefield or something like that just fucks with the other player. But instead they show up and then they fail their charge and then they get shot by bolters and die.
That's the thing. Is like, yeah, they have a 5 demon save. That's cool. That doesn't mean anything. It's las guns.
Right. So I think that they definitely need some help. But the models are so cool. The Raptor / Warp Talon kit is an extremely good kit. And it never, like, you never see it because Raptors suck. And I was going back and forth here if I should do Warp Talons or Raptors. But I went with Warp Talons because Warp Talons suck more.
Well, also, you could just take our conversation about Assault Marines last episode and just edit out the word Assault Marine with Raptor, like awkwardly cut it in. And you're right. They're the same unit.
They're in a bad state right now. So I would love to see them get some sort of update or some love or something. What do you got? Third one.
The problem is, for me, this last one is down to 2 cult troop types that have not been updated yet, that both have old models and both have good rules. So,
okay. Well, are you doing both, or are you just doing one?
I'm just gonna do one. Why were you gonna do the other?
No, I'm gonna go for the most obvious one in my third. But
okay,
we'll get there. Tell me what you got.
I'm gonna go with Noise Marines.
Okay, because I'm glad you didn't say Berserkers, because I was gonna quit the podcast.
Well, I was gonna say Berserkers, but you can at least make a good.
They need new models. They need new models
so bad, but you can make a good
rules
approximation.
Are fantastic. Like,
they're
so, not only are they fantastic, they're beautiful and thematic, and they fight twice, and that's so cool. They are a menace on the tabletop, and I love them. But Noise Marines, you never see them in games.
No, and like, they have good rules like Endless Cacophony and all that stuff. Like, there are some good things in there, but the models themselves are still using metal / finecast conversion bits. And the thing is that Plastic Noise Marine came out as like a retro throwback, and I guarantee when they get redone, they're gonna look more like the Cacophony from Age of 30K. Jesus.
Yeah, no, because the Cacophony Marines look really fucking good.
Yeah, and I guarantee they'll look more like them than they'll look like the the Noise Marine with the fucking guitar gun. Although I really wish they looked like the one with the guitar gun. I love that thing's so fun. The giant Gene Simmons boots and everything. Yeah. But yeah, like, man, those models, they just need some love. Anything that still uses a conversion kit is that needs some change.
No, you're right, and I think that's coming.
It will be. I know it will be.
I don't know if it's going to come anytime soon, but I
don't know.
Like, you're going to get there eventually.
Yeah, with Berserkers, I could say I know it's coming because of how often they give attention to Khorne stuff. But every time there's a Khorne release, they don't release new Berserkers.
Remember, it takes them like 3 years to bring a design to stores.
I know. But the Berserker model is like, it's not old enough to drink yet, but I know it's old enough to drive.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, those bunny ears and those tiny little legs and giant hands. Just
the gorilla fists, berserkers on ice posing, the goofy skull face. Gotta go.
Rob, he recently posted on Twitter where he's making berserkers out of the Shadow Spear Marines.
Yeah.
And is like a head swap is part of that conversion. And the head looks even a little bit too big on those bodies.
Yeah.
So.
Eat your heart out, Funko Pops. We got your big heads right here.
There you go. All right. For
What's
my
third choice?
My third is the most obvious choice in the list. And we couldn't not talk about these guys, but mutilators.
Oh, no, I know the change you need to make. You need to open the trash can, put them in it, and take it out to the curb where mutilators belong. They're awful. I hate them.
There's nothing good about, like, the fluff is bad, the models are bad. The models are like epically bad. The rules are terrible. They're too expensive. Like it is like just Games Workshop were like, we're going to take all the bad ideas out of every codex and put them into one unit and put them in this codex. I've never seen them on the field, on the battlefield. I've never seen them.
I don't know if you've ever gotten the advice to be like, all right, take all your negative thoughts and picture crushing them into a ball and setting it free. That ball is mutilators.
Yeah, we should.
And it has been set free.
Marie Kondo the shit out of mutilators and just like scrub them from our memories. They never happened. There never were mutilators. No, they need help. They need something. Or just get rid of them. Like, well, Obliterators got a huge bonus in models and rules in this last Shadow Spear release. Mutilators still don't have any of that, but maybe they'll be good.
You know, if a combo kit came out of Mutilators and Obliterators, I might be able to be like, okay, cool. You know, my mind could be changed with a good enough model, but the ones they have are... Ugh.
Yeah, it's real bad. Okay, well, let's move on. Again, if you guys want to come at us with any of the units that we missed, we're only doing 3 of each for both of us in these things because we don't want to spend, an entire day on every codex. But if there are any models that you really think need help in the Chaos Space Marine Codex, please get at us. Contact at 40kbackcast.com. We'd love to hear from you guys about this sort of stuff.
And again, this is also still just our opinion. So if you are sitting at home on your throne of mutilators that you love so much, please send a strongly worded email to contact at 40kbackcast.com about how much you love mutilators.
Yes. All right. And so this next segment is entitled Adepticon is next fucking week. It's happening.
Oh my God, I cannot wait to leave.
Wait to leave your hellscape and go to a different hellscape so you can hang out with your friends for a few days.
I cannot wait to just drink and game for like 5 days. It's going to be so good.
Okay, so let's break it down. What are we doing, Campbell? We're both in the 40K Gallant tournament, which is a 75 power level tournament, and I still hate power level, but I'm excited for this event because it's probably going to be the most chill event we do all weekend.
How close to 1,500 points were you able to get with your lists?
I am very excited to say that with my All Primaris Raven Guard power level list, I got to 1,313 points. 13.
I think 1475 was as close as I was able to get because Contemptor Dreadnoughts, there's a bit of discrepancy there.
Yeah, they're I think power level advantaged currently.
Yeah, I think they actually do have a bit of a
nope, wrong. No, they're 8 power level and they cost like 145 points. They are power level disadvantaged, just like everything else in the fucking Marine Codex.
More advantageous than most. But yeah.
I'm bringing Flamestorm Aggressors. That's right, listeners. Flamestorm Aggressors to this because I got to 74 power level any way I could. All right. Excited to bring those guys out. They haven't made it into a lot of games, so I'm actually pretty happy about it.
So my proudest thing about this is like, all right, I'm bringing my Black Templars. I'm fully expecting to lose all my games. I'm fully expecting to lose it in style because I went through the effort of making really pretty army lists. I made a very nice Photoshop template and I just based it a lot on like the whole 4th edition Codex aesthetic. And I like trimmed out some of the headers from the actual Black Templar Codex and put them in there. And I have these little symbols where it'll be the little skull symbol and it's like Captain, his name, his gear, how much he costs. And I did that for every game I'm playing at Adepticon.
Yeah, there's things about the Gallant that are also like, other than just power level, that are also kind of weird. Like they put out the missions for it, like beforehand.
Yeah.
And like the first mission like rewards you for taking flyers.
Yes, so I'm glad I have my Storm Raven.
I'm not bringing any flyers because I fucking
Because you're Primaris only.
whoops. So yeah, I'm not exactly building for wins with this. I'm just gonna go, and it's gonna be fine. It'll be fun.
Yeah,
it was fun.
if it's anything like the last 2 times.
It was fun last year. I think it'll be fun in the year before, and I think it'll be fun again. Then I think we're both doing the 40K friendly on Friday.
Yes, we are, which so the limitations of both of these events are why I don't have knights here, because the friendly, if I recall, is no Lords of War.
It's 1 detachment and no Lords of War, yeah.
Yeah, while the Gallant is just no Lords of War. So very clearly not bringing my knights here. But they also, here's the thing, if there's no knights there, you also don't necessarily need as many, answers to knights. So you get to build a different kind of list, which is nice.
The Gallant, I'm actually very excited about. 1,500 points is my favorite level to play 40K at. And 1 detachment is, well, not necessarily my favorite thing, because you're basically only going to see battalions. It sort of reminds you of like an old school kind of 40K game.
Oh, completely.
Which is going to be fun. And I think despite it being friendly, I think it's actually going to be pretty, like, because the way it's internally balanced, it'll be pretty competitive within the games itself.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I made a pretty nice list for it. And it's basically my list from last year, but like because Primaris points have gone down so much, it's like my list from last year plus a repulsor.
Yeah,
I just fucking wild.
That is pretty good. I just took a list from the last game I played against Dylan, cut out 250 points, and slapped it into my little document.
There you go.
Putting a lot of thought into this. But it's because I'm doing Black Templars, doing a battalion. How do I fit in 3 troops and 2 HQs? Like, it's going to be pretty much the same. And then, of course, what giant vehicle am I putting them all in? A Land Raider or a Storm Raven? It just kind of comes down to that decision.
Yeah.
But I'm bringing 2 Dreadnoughts, some Tartarus Terminators.
Ooh.
Devastators, Land Raider.
You're getting real fucking friendly.
Bunch of Crusaders.
Yeah.
Tech Marine and a Captain.
Yeah. So then that's Friday. On to Saturday where I'm doing Blood Bowl. I'm doing Blood Bowl on both Saturday and Sunday. And I'm bringing my orcs like I did last year. I think I wanted to have a new Blood Bowl team coming up for this year, but that clearly didn't make it into my painting queue. And I don't think they were done with releasing all the Goblin stuff that I wanted to do for the Goblin team by the time it got potential for finished by Adepticon sort of stuff. So I don't feel too bad about that. But I am excited about playing some Blood Bowl. Won't go into it too much around for this podcast because it's not a Blood Bowl podcast, even though it should be. But yeah. So what are you planning to do on Saturday and Sunday? Because I don't think you're in any more events.
I am in no more events, thank God. I'm going to be just doing like pickup games and games with our friends because we've got a lot of pals going here. Like we got JD, we got Craig, we got Carl, we got God knows who else. And I'm planning on getting a rematch game against Carl probably on Saturday. And there's going to be some Blackstone fitting in there somewhere.
Yep.
And I think I might be getting a game against Eric Beers, or he just wants to run with me. I can't remember which. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. I have definitely promised a game to somebody over email, and I do not remember what it was. So please write back to me. I don't want to stand you up and be super rude.
People have been like trying to get at me for games at Adepticon, and they keep saying like, I just don't think I have time.
Yeah,
because I don't think I have time.
But yeah, I'm saving Saturday and Sunday just to kind of like chill out, walk around the vendor hall, maybe check out some games going on that maybe aren't in systems I play so much, or at least I'm not going to Adepticon for. Like I want to see what the Age of Sigmar tables look like. I want to see what the curiously large Lord of the Rings gathering looks like. I want to see what beautiful stuff the 30K players have been putting together because the level of hobby there is always so high. So, it's going to be a fun time. Like, I'm looking forward to not cramming my schedule with too much to do.
I'm looking forward to hanging out with people. We have because of the podcast, we have a lot of people that we know. And because of the events that we go to, there's a ton of friends all over the country. And I'm really, really excited to see some people I haven't seen for an entire year. And develop those friendships a little more and just hang out and have a good time and fucking drink and eat terrible deep dish pizza. Terrible as in terrible for you, but extremely tasty.
Delicious, but
it's going to be so much fun, and I'm going to feel terrible and like a fat piece of shit afterwards. But, I'll have 2.5 months to get ready for my wedding. Oh God, my wedding. Oh God.
First of all, don't body shame yourself. Second of all, and I'm being serious there. No, it's not good for you. Second of all, wear comfortable shoes because man, like my knees are fucked up right now because I've been trying to get to a 5K and or like break my time for a 5K. It turns out when you try to break your time for a 5K and you break your time every single day by more, you fuck yourself up real bad because you're not giving yourself time to rest. So hopefully I'll be back up to standing and running by the time we get there.
One of the best things about the Blood Bowl tournament, the Stupor Bowl, chairs, baby.
Ooh, that's nice.
Chairs at every table. Chairs
and like a quiet side room that isn't in the main hall.
Yeah. I think you said that it looked miserable in there.
It did. It looks so depressing.
But it's not miserable. It's actually really chill. So yeah. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that now?
You know,
I'm worried that I'm
hey, you know what's more chill than playing Blood Bowl on Saturday? Not having anything planned on Saturday.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
Are you planning on buying anything there, or are you just kind of gonna look?
Oh boy, that is a loaded question, Campbell. Well, okay. They're not going to have any new Primera stuff, so I'm not going to buy any of that. But Forge World Necromunda stuff.
That's where I'm looking to.
That's what could get me.
Yeah.
That's what could be a problem.
Yeah.
So maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
Because I'm picking up some stuff for Dylan while I'm there, but I'm going to get me a Sump Croc. I'm finally going to get me a Sump Croc. People shit on that model. I love that man. He's great.
Who shits on that model? It's a fucking large genetically modified crocodile. What's not to love?
Exactly. More to love, I would say.
Get out of your ivory towers, you bunch of shitheads. Embrace the Sump Croc
time.
All right. Fact or fan fiction. You got anything good?
It was too much. The pleasure was too much.
Oh, yes.
Yuri and Rakarth and his underlings sat around their stolen Xbox within a pain nest built inside one of Macragge's many caverns. A whole year of humans battling humans, with a sprinkling of demonic horror to spice the defenders' fear. It was like discovering a fine wine after 1,000 years of Blossom Hill. The arrival of 5 billion orcs had been interesting, but ultimately they were dull and self-limiting creatures. The only real fun to be had with orcs was flying through 10 million of them and wondering if you'd survive the bullet storm. Pain was power. Each of Rakarth's pathetic, crawling minions had been imbued with strength and vitality beyond imagining. Rakarth himself had lost at least a millennium and now resembled a young Eldar warrior in his prime. He was starting to regret the hideous flesh-stretching technologies grafted into his body, since they now meant he stood no chance of pulling a fit Eldar bird. It was of no concern. Life was bad for the humans, which meant it was good for the Coven. Rakarth had even considered sending Calgar thank you letters signed by Abaddon, just for lols. Sweetest of all was the undying fire within Calgar's colon. Rakarth chuckled at the fate that awaited Bryn Milo when Calgar got hold of him, but it was not the young trooper's fault. It had been a mandrake bound to Rakarth's service who had sprinkled 1/2 pound of the dreaded Regalian spice into Calgar's sandwiches. Now the sweating, stupid Lord of Ulchmar was trying to pass a glowing boulder made of lava. Merry Christmas indeed. And if you think that is bad, Rakarth chuckled to himself, just wait until New Year's Eve.
What the fuck is this? It's fan fiction, obviously, but what the fuck, man?
It's exactly what it is. Yes, it's fan fiction.
Okay, good.
It is a fine find from Daka Daka, wherein their illustrious fiction section has Yuri and Rakarth making Calgar poop real hard. Later on, Calgar poops while he's on the an intercom with all of Macragge, and the entire 500 worlds hears, I think it's described as his trumpet horn.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you for that. That's fun. That's some good old-fashioned scat humor.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, let's do some plugs before we get out of here. You can find us on social media. Twitter is a great place for, depression. I am at DB_sleazy. He is at Brother SRM. And you can join us where we watch the world burn.
in real time. It's fantastic.
Yeah, real-time updates of the complete hell world that we live in on twitter.com, the greatest website to ever exist.
The worst part is it's probably the healthiest social media site you can be on, and that's... Whew.
Well, speaking of healthy social media sites, Campbell, you're also on Tumblr.
Yes, I am. cam2d.tumblr.com, where you can see pictures of the models when I'm deigning myself to post them.
It's hard to set up that fucking photo booth.
Oh, I know. I've got to point a lamp. I've got to take pictures.
It's a whole thing. It's just a big pain in the ass.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole afternoon.
You can also get at us at email, contact@40kbadcast.com. We want to hear about your models, about your games, about your lives. You know, just get at us. We want to interact with our listeners, with our community as much as possible. And we love you guys.
Yeah, and if you want to show that love back to us, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/40kbadcast, where you can give us money and listen to us talk about stuff that isn't Warhammer once in a while.
No, and tomorrow we're recording a new Patreon exclusive episode on comics. Very excited to do that. It's going to be a great conversation. But if you want to not only feel great, but look great, you can buy our T-shirts at shop.spreadshirt.com/40kbadcast, where our latest T-shirt is the Cult of the Swole-Armed Emperor tank top. I will be wearing mine at some point at Adepticon. It is too big, but I don't care. I will wear it anyways.
As will I, and as is mine.
If you think you're an XL and you want this shirt, buy a large. If you think you're a large, buy a medium. If you think you're a small, go somewhere else to buy a different shirt, because this one ain't for you.
Yeah, it comes a size up. So just order accordingly if you do want to get that. But
order accordingly. Nope, didn't work.
Damn,
okay, it's all right. So before we move on to the getting out of here, I just want to ask our listeners to tell a friend about the show. We would love to grow our listener base a little more, and we know that you've got friends. So take a moment out of your day, sometime in the near future, to text or DM a friend and say, "Hey, I know you like 40K. I know you like yucks and chilling out with your homeboys. Why don't you listen to this podcast called the 40K Badcast? I'm 100% sure you'll like it, because if you tell anybody that, they'll listen to the podcast, they'll like the podcast, and they'll be better friends with you."
Yeah, they're legally obliged to listen to it at that point, or legally obligated. You know,
it's true. Whenever you get a podcast recommendation, you have to listen to it.
Exactly. That's what I do every time. I don't just go, "Oh, that sounds really interesting," and walk away to get another drink.